Has to be said that the BBC have not had the very best of years. I mean, we've had situations like this. That's right, the newsreader basically giving the finger to the autocue operator. And then, of course, we have the BBC breakfast presenter Naga Monchetti saying this.
The civil service, Boris Johnson told the inquiry that abusive messages are part of the creative process. I'm buying into this, OK? So, Boris, you're a useless tosser. Make of that what you will.
Right. So you see, they feel they can say and do anything because, after all, you're paying their wages, particularly if you live across the United Kingdom. You see, basically, yes, they will do whatever they wish to say and do. Now, of course, the BBC, which is headed by the Director General, Tim Davie, who basically turns up in jeans, sneakers, and never with a tie on, obviously representing one of the biggest broadcasting corporations in the world, not necessarily a look one would expect to be able to sell a worldwide brand. And I'm not being snobby here, but one has to look and think, look at how far the standards have fallen. You know, there's a very famous line, isn't there, about how if you look at the leadership at the top, you can see exactly why things have fallen so badly at the bottom, i.e. Gary Lineker. But over Christmas, we've had really an exceptional time from the BBC, particularly in pushing forward their woke agenda. Firstly, we had a brand new adaptation of a wonderful Agatha Christie novel, Murder is Easy. Now, this was the very first time we had a black lead in an Agatha Christie adaptation. Nothing wrong with that. The black actor stated that himself in interviews. Why that's important, I don't know. But the bottom line is, once again, he wanted to make sure that particular segment was put out there. But it was the content, really, you know, the radical rewriting in the screenplay, all about canola. But it was the content, really, the radical rewriting of the screenplay by this woman, all about colonialism and stuff like that and reparations and stuff, absolutely tediously dull. I mean, it bombed in the ratings. But here's the bigger story, you see. They don't care about that because they've wasted your money. Now, this, after being screened and literally bombing in the ratings, with repeats on other sides getting bigger ratings figures, well, the bottom line now for the BBC is they've got to try and sell this around the world. And so far, there are very few takers. You see, it's a little bit like the revitalized 60th anniversary edition of Doctor Who. Now we've got pronouns and all sorts of stuff being integrated into that particular story. Nobody asked for it, certainly not the fans. And of course, they're trying to pull in a modern day audience. But even they're switching off in droves. Now, here's where it gets truly interesting because, as I said at the start of this video, it doesn't necessarily affect the BBC board. They get paid regardless. And this year, of course, the BBC licence fee goes up. The only way the BBC will stop doing this sort of paraphernalia stuff is if people stop switching off and stop contributing to their licence fee. Millions more people are set to abandon the licence fee this year. And let me tell you an inside secret. The BBC do not go after the minority community. They certainly will not step in to that community. They go after the middle class and the rich, hoping they can shame them into literally buying a BBC licence. I bet you didn't know that. And how many people will be switching off once you now do? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.